Welcome to Dr. Jester Rants, and I'm gonna rant about this. From the New York Post, Facebook censors a post to help Joe Biden's 2020 campaign. So much for English. So much for Facebook's claim to be a neutral platform. Who actually believed that? Not me. Not anybody else who actually uses that platform or for anything at all. One of its top execs just put the social media giant firmly in the pro-Biden camp. Andy Stone, the social media company's policy communications manager, boasted about burying the Post's story on proof that Hunter Biden merchandised access to his dad. Stone's tweet Wednesday morning: "While I will intentionally not link to the New York Post, I want to be clear that this story is eligible to be fact-checked by Facebook's third-party fact-checking partners. In the meantime, we're reducing its distribution on our platform." Yes, of course, let's use those fact-checkers who actually go on and lie about a lot of things. For instance, wasn't Newsweek kind of recently fact-checked a tweet about one of the moderators for the presidential debate, in which the moderator wrote it was explicitly against Trump and very anti-Trump. And Newsweek then wrote a very large story about the moderator, but in the end concluded it was mostly false, even though the tweet they quoted from was pretty clear that it said, "Not Trump, not ever." Are you shitting me? And Snopes is guilty of that all of the time. Then Snopes for politics is atrocious. They are terrible. They are horrible fact checkers. I wouldn't trust them, not even with a terrorists live. That's how bad they are. Snopes sucks. Let's get back to the news. Censor first, ask questions later. It's an outrageous attitude for one of the most powerful platforms in the United States to take, which is why I am in favor of reforming the amendment. No, the law. No, what's the word? I know it's 230, the name of the thing, the article 230, you get what I mean. Especially when Stone wears his own bias on his sleeves. The quick biography he posts on Twitter shows his long history of working for Democrats, including lefty then Senator Barbara Boxer on the Democrat Congressional Campaign Committee. Though he doesn't specify what this story means, it can only be our scoop on Hunter emails that show he introduced an executive of Burisma, the Ukrainian natural gas firm on whose board he sat, to his dad while Joe was vice president. Remember, Hunter also received a lot of money from a Moscow billionaire. He also received a lot of money for being on the board of the Burisma and was responsible for firing one of the investigators who was investigating him for corruption in Ukraine. Biden Sr. has insisted, not was, you idiot. He had never spoken to my son about his overseas business dealings, a statement at odds with the massive trove of data recovered from a laptop at Delaware repair shop. No one is disputing the veracity of the Post story, not even Hunter Biden. His lawyer, George Armesiris, wouldn't deign to comment on the reporting, simply attacking the messenger. The Biden campaign did the same, dismissing it all as discredited, while saying that no meeting showed up on Joe Biden's official schedule on those dates. Well, if it wasn't official, guess it didn't happen. Well, that's technically kind of true. It's part of what it takes to be a left-leaning, or control left. If it's uncomfortable, you ignore it, and the problem goes away. For instance, child brides in Islamic countries. The control left had told me that this does not happen, that it should be ignored, so I ignore it. And guess what? There are no more problems about child rights. See, that's how things work with the control left. That's how you should do it. If it's uncomfortable, ignore it, and the problem goes away. It disappears. Yet Facebook is deliberately trying to keep its users from reading and deciding for themselves what it means. This, when it did nothing to restrict access to the recent New York Times story of President Trump's tax returns, which was utterly misleading. The only true party, well, it was technically true, but what Trump did was use part of the tax returns from his previous taxes to pay for his next taxes. You can actually do that in the US. But that wasn't enough, so he paid $750 extra in tax on top of those millions he already paid. And the New York Times actually misled the entire people, the reader, on a very large article just to say this. It was a nothing burger. And yet, here we are. And the Times didn't say a word about how they obtained that confidential personal data. An executive of one of the most powerful media platforms in the country, who brags about his years working as a partisan Democratic operative, publicly boasting of his attempt to keep Americans from learning something embarrassing about the Democratic presidential candidate. Facebook isn't a media platform, it's a propaganda machine. I 100% completely unquestionably agree with you, New York Post. They are a propaganda machine as of late. Quite technically, I think they have always been kind of a propaganda machine in the past. Either way, this is disturbing because you're censoring something without... yeah, just censoring. There's no... fuck me. It's one of those moments in which I have nothing else to say. I mean, everyone knows Facebook is scummy as fuck. So why am I not surprised? I'm so not surprised that I actually just think this is, well, it's usual. It's the usual thing to happen when Facebook is involved. It's kind of like, I don't know. The water is wet, so what are you gonna say about it? The water is wet. What are you going to tell me about? What are you going to say about it? Nothing. There's nothing to say. It's just a fact. Facebook is biased. Facebook is a disaster and a part of the Democratic propaganda machine. What can you say? Nothing. It's just established fact, like water is wet. Anyway, thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. See you on my next video. Good night.